Discover the incredible moment a poor girl uncovers a millionaire, transforming her life forever. Emma Rodriguez fiddled with a stray thread on her worn-out jeans, her eyes dancing across the crowded community hall. Under a spangled canopy of twinkling lights, laughter echoed, blending with the scent of barbecue wafting through the air. It was a charity event for local veterans, but for Emma, it could have been a gala hosted at a castle. She was a girl carrying dreams borrowed from the Hollywood movies she watched every weekend. Dreams of escaping the suffocating small-town life that left families like hers scrambling to make ends meet. Across the room, she caught a glimpse of an unassuming figure, a man in a simple plaid shirt, nursing a soda while others reveled. Little did she know, Henry Mitchell was a millionaire, yet here he stood, a wallflower amidst the joyous crowd. Something about him pulled her closer. Maybe it was the gentle way he smiled, hidden beneath a rumpled cap. In that moment, Emma's heart raced. She felt the stirrings of hope, an inexplicable urge to reach out and connect. Gathering her courage, she approached him. "Hey, I'm Emma," she said, her voice wobbly but sincere. "What brings you here?" Her kindness pierced the layers he carefully draped over himself. Their conversation surprised them both, each exchange a delicate thread weaving an intricate tapestry of friendship. Henry opened up about his past, struggle, and the way wealth can isolate rather than elevate. Emma's spirit burned bright with ambition. She felt seen for the first time, yet beneath their growing bond, tension brewed among the townsfolk. They threw glances filled with suspicion as Emma spent time with someone they assumed owned the world. Hearts hardened by economic divides, whispers painted her as a traitor to her roots. Emma's chest tightened. Anger bubbled beneath the surface, clashing with her burgeoning friendship with Henry. At the height of that evening, the ground shifted literally and metaphorically. A storm surged, leading to a devastating flood that ravaged the town. Emma's heart felt heavy, the news resonating like the echo of a thunderclap. Everything she loved was in jeopardy. Families, like hers, were losing everything. She could feel the panic settling over her community like a dark fog. Uncertainty clawed at her throat, but Emma's resolve surged. She would not back down. As waters rose, so did her will. "Let us band together," she shouted, galvanizing her neighbors and breathing life into their withering spirits. Her heart drummed with fear, but also an undeniable impulse to lead, to forge a path to solidarity, but with every effort, the whispers around town grew louder. Is she doing this for him? Is he really as generous as he seems? They murmured. Emma felt the weight of her loyalty to her family, the expectations that held her down, while her dreams of rising beyond this place tempted her to spread her wings. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the throes of the crisis, as Emma fought for her community, a shocking truth about Henry surfaced, a revelation powerful enough to shatter everything they had built. What would she do when she found out who he truly was? As the storm brewed around them, Emma stood at the precipice. Hope shimmered in the air, yet fear crept in, thick like the rising floodwaters. What path would she choose? Would she embrace the light of possibility or retreat into darkness, shackled by the old ways? The town held its breath, and so did she. Emma pushed through the throngs of uncertain faces, each whisper digging deep into her heart. The rain thundered against rooftops, relentless and wild, but it was the storm of suspicion swirling around her that threatened her resolve. She clutched her phone, its screen illuminating the frail hope buried within her. Henry. She needed to talk to him. Rushing toward the center of the hall, she spotted him standing by a table stacked with donations, his expression consistent yet concerned. Despite the chaos that engulfed them, he remained a calm presence. Emma's heart stuttered. Would he still want to stand beside her once he knew the town's questions, the sharp accusations thrown her way? Shoving her doubts aside, she approached him. "Henry. We need to lead a relief effort. People are scared and lost." Her voice brimmed with urgency that he nodded, a blend of admiration and skepticism in his eyes. "You're right. But is it safe? The floodwaters could rise." Emma's eyes searched his, feeling the weight of two worlds colliding. "We can't wait. Together, we can show them we're here to help." Deep inside, she could sense that their bond stretched beyond the disaster. Henry sighed, a soft smile breaking through the apprehension. "Okay, I trust you. Let us do this." As they moved swiftly through the hall, gathering volunteers and setting up food and shelter, Emma felt a flicker of strength. They were making a difference, not just for themselves but for everyone around them. But the townspeople continued their whispers, so mixed with doubt and anger. She pushed those comments aside, hours slipped away each moment tighter, grimmer. Emma watched families huddling on cots, children clinging to parents, the frantic energy palpable. She felt an ache swell within her, a desperate determination to bridge the gulf between what was and what could be. Then, amidst the noise of voices and the crash of rain, it struck. Henry stood near the makeshift donation table with a phone pressed to his ear. He took a step back, his face drained of color. The phone slipped from his grip, clattering on the ground. "Henry. What's wrong?" Emma rushed to his side, concern knitting her brow that he ran a hand through his hair, struggling to find words. It's my lawyer. The storm it's impacted one of my investments. I might lose everything." Her heart twisted. "What do you mean? I thought you were well, you are wealthy." "I thought so too." His voice was heavy with bitterness. "But wealth doesn't protect you from disaster. My life isn't simple the way it seems. And here I am trying to help, and I'm not even sure what's left for me." Emma's heart raced, part of her reeling from the realization that he, too, was vulnerable. The whispers danced in her mind, maybe he wasn't as untouchable as everyone thought. "Henry, we'll figure this out. We have to keep going. For them." He looked at her, hesitation fading into admiration. "You inspire me, Em. Your heart is bigger than you know. But what if this all crumbles? What if we fail? Then we rise back up. Together," she said, fighting her own fear. Yet just as hope flickered between them, a sudden crash of debris echoed from outside. The storm surged and clawed at the world, bringing forth an unnatural darkness. Emma's pulse quickened as she realized the flood was rising faster than anticipated. Panic rippled through the crowd. Families began to flee, confusion spreading like wildfire. Emma felt the fear wash over her, but then she found Henry's gaze, steady amid the chaos. In that moment, she understood. This was not just about the money. Life was fragile, connections vital, and resilience paramount. They were facing a storm, but this was just the beginning. "Stay with me," Emma whispered, grasping his hand, their bond fortified amid uncertainty. Together, they were stronger, facing the tumultuous tide that threatened to swallow them both, but before they could execute a plan, a furious knock on the hall's door sent a shiver racing through Emma. What could possibly come next? "Open up. We need help." The weight of the unknown loomed larger than ever. What awaited them behind that door? Emma's heart raced with dread and determination, understanding that everything was about to change. The knock echoed, sharp and urgent, breaking the tense silence that had settled over the hall. Emma's heart raced as she exchanged a glance with Henry. There was a moment of hesitation, time stretching like a rubber band about to snap. "Do we open it?" Henry's question was barely more than a whisper, but the gravity of his tone made it resonate like thunder. Emma took a deep breath, steeling herself. "We have to. They need us." With a nod, she released his hand, stepping toward the door, her pulse pounding in her ears. A wave of uncertainty crashed over her, but she couldn't let fear paralyze them. Slowly, she turned the knob and pulled the door open. Outside, a group of soaked figures huddled together, drenched to the bone. Their faces were a mix of fear and desperation, reflecting the stormy skies overhead. She recognized some of them, neighbors, friends, and even a few of the town's elderly residents who had gathered to escape the rising waters. "We've been trapped," one of them shouted over the drumming of rain. "The roads are gone, and the river's rising fast. We need shelter." Emma glanced back at Henry, his eyes wide with shock. This was real. No longer whispers or gossip, it was survival. "Come in. Come in," Emma urged, stepping aside and motioning for them to enter. She felt a rush of strength as she saw the worried faces turn hopeful. As the group flooded in, the atmosphere shifted. Emma quickly began directing people to find dry clothes and blankets. Henry joined her, his earlier fear fading into a sense of purpose. They moved seamlessly, organizing donations and helping others, lost in a world where there was only the here and now, but as the hall filled, so did the whispers. Hushed voices began to swirl among the new arrivals, fueling the gossip that had already begun. "What is she doing with him? They're inseparable now." The accusations brushed against Emma like icy fingers, igniting that familiar sting beneath her skin. She could feel the eyes of judgment as they whispered, and for a moment, doubt gnawed at her resolve. She was helping, yes, but did they see her true intentions? Did they understand that behind her caring exterior was a vulnerable heart trying to navigate a storm? "Emma." Henry's voice cut through her thoughts. "Look." He pointed outside, and Emma turned in time to see the water spilling more aggressively over the banks, devouring everything in its path. The flood was relentless. Fear gripped her once more, there was little time left. "Everyone. We need to prepare just in case the worst happens." Emma called out, trying to rally the crowd, her voice shaking but resolute. "Gather whatever you can, we might have to evacuate. We must stay vigilant." Henry quickly stepped to her side, rallying those around him as well. Together they gathered effort and urgency, propelling the crowd into action. Amidst the chaos, a small child tugged on Emma's sleeve, her wide eyes filled with uncertainty. "Are we going to be okay?" the girl asked, her fingers clutching a worn teddy bear. Emma knelt down, looking directly into those innocent eyes. "Yes, sweetheart, we're going to be okay. We're all together, and that makes us strong." But as Emma straightened, dread pooled in her stomach. The voices in the back of her mind were insistent. What if they didn't make it? What if everything she fought for crumbled in an instant? Outside, the wind howled, and the lights flickered ominously. The water level crept closer to the door. "Emma!" Henry shouted, pulling her gaze back. "We need to take action now." She watched as he moved efficiently, gathering supplies and coordinating the volunteers. Something inside her lightened. Perhaps this was why they were thrown together, to face the chaos as one. But just as they started to make progress, another loud crash echoed through the night. The roof above them groaned dangerously. Emma's heart dropped. And then came a voice from the back, trembling with urgency, "The flood has broken through." Emma's breath caught in her throat. They were running out of time. Would they be able to save everyone? Suddenly, reality hit hard. They weren't just fighting against a storm, they were battling against a fate that felt increasingly inevitable. Emma's heart raced. Would she ever find the strength she needed to rise above, or would this storm sweep her away? As uncertainty churned in her gut, she clung to Henry's reassuring presence. Would they find a way forward, or would the flood take everything from them? The answer loomed just out of reach, like the storm clouds outside, dark, vast, and merciless. The sound of splintering would jolted everyone into action. Panic surged through the crowd. Emma's heart pounded as she glanced toward the source of the noise. Water seeped through cracks in the walls like fingers reaching to claim them. "Form a line," Henry shouted over the roaring wind. We need to push everything back safe from the water. Emma instinctively grabbed the nearest stack of chairs, racing to join him. As they worked, the weight of fear pressed on her chest, but she couldn't let it overtake her. Shouts rang through the air, a blend of urgency and terror. Get the food. Don't let it spoil. A voice yelled. Get everyone to the higher ground, another added. Emma could feel the frantic energy buzzing, almost electric, as people threw themselves into action. They were all connected by one shared instinct, survival. Each face told a story of worry, and it fueled Emma's resolve. She made a mental note to look for every child first. There had to be a way to protect them. Just then, she spotted the small girl from earlier, still clutching her teddy bear, standing in the middle of the throng. Panic washed over Emma. "Where's your family?" she shouted, but the noise of the storm swallowed her words. Time felt warped. Seconds stretched into an eternity as Emma pushed through the crowd. The air was filled with confusion, but all she could focus on was that child. Finally, she reached her. "Sweetheart, where are your parents?" Emma asked, kneeling down to meet the girl's frightened gaze. The girl shook her head, tears spilling onto her cheeks. "I don't know. They were right behind me." Emma's heart broke a little more. She wrapped her arms around the girl, offering comfort. "We'll find them, I promise," she whispered, squeezing her tight. But as Emma straightened, she spotted Henry, who was waving his arm frantically. "Emma! We need to go now." Behind him, a wall of water was crashing through the entrance, accelerated by the relentless storm. The crowd surged backward in a frenzy, fear transforming into survival mode. "Everyone! To the back! Head upstairs!" Emma urged, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Now!" She grabbed the girl's hand, finding a small group of others gathering. The power of a community was palpable, strangers united in their quest for safety. They moved as one, pushing against the tide of rising water, each step a fight against despair. As they reached the staircase, a loud crash echoed again. The ceiling above them groaned, water spilling from the beams like a waterfall. With Henry just ahead, Emma could see him helping others up the stairs, his arms strong and true. Their eyes met for a fleeting moment, and without words, a silent understanding passed between them. They were in this together. They had to save everyone. "Come on," she urged, pulling the girl closer as they climbed. The concrete steps felt sturdy beneath her feet despite the chaos, offering a fleeting sense of security. But when they reached the top, dread settled in. The roof above was not safe. Rainwater dripped ominously, and a thick layer of panic gripped them all. "We can't stay here long," Henry urged, looking around at the desperate faces. "We need a plan." Just then, Emma spotted an old wooden door at the far end of the hallway. "What about that?" she suggested, pointing urgently. "It might lead to the roof. We could reach the other side of the building." There was a brief pause as everyone weighed the risk. But as another crash resonated through the structure, indecision hardened into resolve. They had to move. "Let us do it," one of the volunteers shouted, rallying the group. With hearts racing and adrenaline pumping, they charged toward the door. But just as they reached it, Emma's heart plummeted as the lights flickered again, then died completely. Darkness enveloped them, swirling with the fear and uncertainty that clung to the air. Emma gripped the doorknob, fear narrowing her focus, and pulled hard. The door didn't budge. "Emma!" Henry's frantic whisper sliced through the darkness. "What now?" In that moment, the weight of everyone's future hung in the balance. Was this door their salvation or an obstacle impeding their escape? As Emma forced the door again, desperation surged within her. Would they find a way out, or would they be imprisoned by the very storm that threatened to swallow them whole? Emma's hands shook as she pulled on the door, adrenaline coursing through her veins. The darkness pressed in, thick and suffocating, making it hard to breathe. The panicked voices around her melded into a single terrifying hum, filling her ears with dread. Emma, we need to get out. Henry's voice cut through the fog of fear, grounding her. With one last, desperate pull, the door finally creaked open, revealing a narrow corridor flooded with dim light from a distant window. The sound of the storm outside was muted, replaced by the rushing water from below. Emma felt a wave of relief wash over her but knew they had little time. "Everyone, this way," she shouted, motioning for the others to follow. As they squeezed through the doorway, Emma held the little girl's hand tightly. The corridor was damp and cold, but it felt like a pathway to hope. Each step into the darkness was filled with uncertainty, yet the flicker of light ahead drew them onward. Reaching the window, Emma peered outside, her heart racing. They were several floors up, and the view confirmed her worst fears. The street below was transforming into a river. Debris swirled around, caught in the relentless currents, the chaos a stark reminder of their precarious situation. "Can we reach that roof?" Henry pointed toward an adjacent building visible through the mist and rain. Discarded rain-soaked chairs and a few scattered crates precariously clung to the rooftop. It looked possible but perilous. Emma nodded, glancing back at the group. Everyone's faces were etched with worry, but in the dim light, she saw glimmers of resolve. "We have to try. It's our best shot." With adrenaline fueling them, they made their way to the edge of the corridor. Emma positioned herself first, feeling the drop in her stomach as she peered over the ledge. "I'll go first, see if it's stable." She took a deep breath and stepped onto the outer ledge. The tiles were slick, and her feet slipped momentarily, but she steadied herself, gripping tight to the wall. Henry followed closely behind, offering a hand when she needed it. They worked together like a well-oiled machine, focused on the goal ahead. The little girl waited behind them, her teddy bear tucked tightly under her arm. Emma turned back, sensing the need to reassure her. "You're doing great. We'll be out of here in no time." Finally, they reached the edge of the roof. Emma clambered onto the structure and turned back to help the others over one by one. Her heart raced as she watched the water rising below, each second feeling like an eternity. "Is everyone okay?" Henry called, scanning the group as they regrouped on the rooftop. A chorus of nods and whispered reassurances echoed around them, but the moment of safety was short-lived. The wind howled, threatening to push them back, and as the last of the group stepped up, cracks began to appear under their feet. "Emma! The rain's making this weaker move." Henry yelled, urgency tangible in his voice. They moved quickly now, searching for a way across. Unable to waste a moment, Emma spotted a fire escape ladder hanging down from the edge of the roof. "We can use that," she exclaimed, taking a step towards it. But just as they began to make their way towards safety, a terrifying crack thundered through the air, and the roof shuddered beneath their feet. The group froze, eyes wide with fear. "Hold on!" Emma screamed, forcing herself to remain calm, even though her heart raced like a wild drum. What would happen if they couldn't escape? Would the storm swallow them, or would they find a way over to the other side? That question loomed over her like a dark cloud, overshadowing her desperate hope. With adrenaline fueling their every movement, they approached the fire escape together. Would this be their ticket to safety, or just another step into devastation? Emma took a breath, her heart pounding with uncertainty. Taking the leap felt closer than ever. But could they pull through this chaos? The moment of truth was near, and every second counted. Emma's heart raced as she peered down at the swaying ladder. The storm was relentless, rain beating down in a frenzy, the wind howling around them like a wounded animal. The air felt electric, charged with both fear and desperation. She turned back to the group, their faces illuminated in the dim light, a mix of apprehension and determination. "On my count," she shouted, trying to project confidence even though her own pulse thundered in her ears. 1, 2, 3. She grabbed the fire escape's cold rungs, her fingers curling tightly around the metal. Her stomach dropped as she began her descent, heart pounding louder with each movement. The ladder creaked, swinging slightly under her weight. Below, the water continued its relentless rise, swirling and bubbling with a chaotic beauty. "Emma, hurry!" Henry called up, his voice steady yet strained. She nodded, but took a moment to gauge the distance to the ground. The water was dangerously close, and the current looked angry. One by one, the others followed her lead, each climbing down with a mix of urgency and fear. Emma felt a rush of pride as she watched the little girl clutch her teddy bear tightly, slowly moving with focused determination. Each face told a story of bravery against the odds. Almost there. Emma urged them, willing her body to move faster, to push through the creeping doubt. When Emma reached the last rung, she leaped down, splashing into the icy water that lapped against the building foundation. With shaking legs, she turned to help the little girl down, who was now staring wide-eyed at the swirling water below. "You can do it. Just jump." As she gripped the girl's small hands, Emma heard the thunderous crack again, this time louder and more menacing. The roof above groaned, shifting ominously from the impact of the rain. Her heart seized, and she felt time slow. The little girl took a breath, trembling, but Emma didn't let go. "I'm right here, I won't let you fall." With a brave little nod, the girl jumped, landing safely in the water next to Emma. Relief flooded through her, but it was short-lived. The water was cold and unnaturally powerful, tugging at their legs. The storm was unsparing. "Follow me," Emma shouted over the roar, gesturing toward a rusty metal door partially submerged. They had to make for that door. It looked like it led to a basement, a possible sanctuary from the storm above. "Stay close," Henry barked, pulling the others together. Emma could see the determination etched on his face, strong and fierce. They moved in unison, pushing through the frigid water, hearts beating in synchrony as they rushed toward the door. Emma's breath caught in her throat as she glanced back at the roof. It seemed a piece of it was about to give way, ready to crumble into the chaos below. Just as they reached the door, a deafening crash echoed behind them, amplifying the urgency in Emma's chest. "Now!" she shouted, flinging the door wide open to reveal the dark abyss inside. They tumbled in, the sound of the storm growing distant as the door slammed shut behind them. For a moment, they paused, hearts hammering. The basement was pitch black, a stark contrast to the chaos above. "Is everyone all right?" Emma asked, scanning the faces around her. She could see their eyes adjusting to the dark, fear subsiding as they leaned against the walls to catch their breath, but as her eyes adjusted, she noticed a strange glimmer in the corner of the room. Something was reflecting the dim light. With cautious steps, Emma moved closer, curiosity pushing her forward. What she discovered made her heart quicken again. A large, ornate box rested against the wall. When she placed her hand on it, an electric shock coursed through her. This was no ordinary box. What treasures or dangers could it contain? As she turned around to share a glance with Henry, questions bubbled in her heart. What would they uncover next? In the twist of fate, amidst a storm of despair, could this box change their lives forever? Emma's pulse raced anew as she examined the ornate box more closely. Its surface shimmered faintly, revealing intricate carvings and symbols she couldn't decipher. What was more unnerving? A sense of purpose flared within her, urging her to open it. "Emma?" Henry's voice broke through the haze of her curiosity. He stood a few steps back, the dim light painting shadows across his worried face. "What do you think it is?" "I don't know," she replied, glancing over her shoulder at him. "But I feel like we should open it." "Should we?" The uncertainty in his voice mirrored her own. "And what if it, I don't know, blows up or something? Or maybe it's filled with food," joked the teenage boy nearby, trying to lighten the mood. They all chuckled, but Emma could see the concern in their eyes. Ignoring that moment of levity, Emma knelt down, her fingers tracing the box's carvings. Something about it felt alive. She exchanged a look with the little girl, who had come closer, clutching her teddy bear like it was a shield. Emma smiled at her. It was a smile of both reassurance and determination. "Okay, on 3, we open it together. Everyone ready?" Emma said, trying to rally her scattered courage. 1, 2, 3. They lifted the lid together, hearts sinking in anticipation. The box creaked as it opened, revealing its contents: old photographs, a worn diary, and a couple of trinkets that glimmered like stars against the darkness. Emma's breath caught as she pulled out the diary. Its cover looked weathered, but as she flipped it open, elegant handwriting filled the pages. "What is it?" Henry peered over her shoulder, his eyes widening in astonishment. "It looks like someone's life story," Emma murmured, scanning the first few lines. "It could be important. It could tell us about the people who were here before us. Or they could have been terrible people," Henry said, raising an eyebrow. "Maybe, but this storm is terrible too, and look at what we faced together. Sometimes good things come from bad situations." She looked down again, overwhelmed by a strange sense of connection, as if the words on the yellowed pages were reaching out toward her. As she read, Emma could feel the weight of countless emotions pouring through: joy and loss, love and regret. The house was alive with the echoes of stories, tragedies, and triumphs intertwined. She glanced back at the group, realizing the box was more than just a vessel. It was a reminder of shared struggles, the ties that bound them together against the raging storm. "Maybe this is our way out," she said softly, her heart sparked with a flicker of hope. "If we can discover who they were, we might find what we need, how to survive this storm." Just then, the basement shook, the relentless wind above howling like a beast. Emma's heart skipped as she heard a resounding thud. Was it the storm or something more sinister? "Stay close!" Henry shouted, instinctively moving toward her as the box fell from her hands, hitting the ground with a thud. Panic surged through Emma. The door might not hold. Before she could think of a safe plan, a strong gust burst through the basement door, rattling it violently and filling the air with a biting chill. "Emma!" the little girl cried, eyes wide with fear. Emma turned back to the box. A strange glow emitted from it now, casting eerie shadows across the walls. "What if there is something in it we need?" As they huddled closer, the storm wailed outside, but amidst the chaos, something inside the box began to resonate. Would this box hold not just memories, but answers and a path to safety? Emma took a deep breath, her heart pounding in rhythm with the storm. "We need to find out together. Are you with me?" The nods around her were steady, faces lit with determination, mirroring the resolve growing in her soul. But as she reached for the diary again, the ground beneath them trembled more violently. In that moment of impending doom, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental. Would they discover a key to salvation or awaken a terrifying legacy? The air buzzed with tension, as they braced for what lay ahead. Emma's fingers shook slightly as she reached for the diary again. The glow from the box pulsed, almost like it was breathing, and she could feel everyone around her, caught between fear and wonder. What secrets lay hidden in those pages? Were they the keys to unlocking their survival or merely echoes of the past? Henry leaned in closer, his face illuminated by the strange light. "If this is someone's life story, there could be something in here that tells us how they survived storms, literal or otherwise." She nodded, her heart racing with a mix of anticipation and dread. With each turn of the page, the chaos outside blurred into background noise. Emma scanned the delicate penmanship, her eyes drawn to a passage that spoke of resilience and bravery during a fierce storm many years ago. This person lost everything too," she whispered, feeling the weight of shared grief. "But they kept hope alive." The little girl, still clinging to her teddy bear, whispered softly, "What happened to them?" Emma looked up, her heart aching for the child. The pages held stories of heartache but also threads of triumph. "I think they found a way through together." Suddenly, the wind howled louder, and the light flickered wildly. The basement trembled as if it was unraveling beneath their feet. Emma could see fear in Henry's eyes. "What if it's not just the storm?" he urged. In that moment, she was struck by a revelation. We are not just reading about the past. What if their story is warning us? We need to reinterpret the diary, look for signs to guide us through this. The group shifted uneasily, but Emma felt a sense of purpose surge within her. She could lead them if only they believed. With urgency, she flipped through the pages more rapidly, scanning for anything that could offer insight. "Look! This part here," she said, pointing to an illustration sketched in the margins. "It shows a structure. Was there a hidden area in this house? A place where they escaped?" Henry squinted at the drawing, then scanned the room with calculating eyes. "Maybe. But we have to be quick. Whatever's out there is getting worse, and I don't want to risk the walls coming down around us." Following his lead, Emma urged the group to look closely at their surroundings. "Everyone spread out a bit, check every corner. The answers might be right under our noses." As they searched, Emma's heart thudded loudly. Each rumble outside felt like a countdown. Time was running out, and she believed with all her heart that their survival depended on what they discovered together. Then, from behind a stack of old crates, the little girl's small voice piped up. "I found something." She emerged, her eyes wide with excitement, holding what looked like an old, rusty key. "Where did you find that?" Emma rushed over, kneeling beside her. The key was heavy and ornate, a stark contrast to the crumbling boxes surrounding them. The girl shrugged, but Emma felt a flicker of hope ignite in her chest. "A key, maybe it unlocks a hidden door. We need to find out if it leads us to safety." Henry stepped closer, eyeing the key. "But what if it leads to danger?" Emma took it from the girl's outstretched hand, the metal cold against her skin. "We can't let fear paralyze us. Whatever lies ahead, we face it together." With resolve, Emma turned back to the box, pulling out another photograph. It depicted a family, smiling brightly. Behind them stood an imposing door framed with the same intricate designs as the box. "Maybe that door is in this house," she whispered, heart racing again under the weight of discovery. Just then, another powerful gust rattled the basement, and the glow from the box intensified. Emma's stomach twisted, sensing that time was slipping away. "Come on," she urged, clutching the key tightly. "Let us find that door before it's too late." With the storm reaching its peak, Emma led them away from the box toward the shadows at the far end of the basement, hoping that the path to uncovering the truth and their survival was close at hand. But would they find safety, or would the storm uncover forgotten secrets that were meant to stay buried? Emma's pulse quickened as she moved deeper into the basement shadows, the flickering light from the box following them like a ghost. The atmosphere felt charged, thick with tension and possibility. She gripped the old key tightly, glancing back at the group, their faces a mix of anxiety and determination. "Over here." The little girl squeaked, her doe eyes sparkling. She was tugging on Henry's sleeve, pointing toward an old wooden door barely visible behind a stack of dusty paint cans. Emma's heart soared. The details of the photograph danced in her mind: the family, the door. It had to be the same one. "That's it!" she exclaimed, rushing toward the door, wiping dust from the top with her sleeve. "This could be what we're looking for." Henry stepped closer, creaking the floorboards beneath his weight. "But what if it's locked?" "Then we'll use the key," Emma replied, trying to inject confidence into her voice. The rusty key hung heavily in her palm, as if it knew its purpose. She approached the door with slow, deliberate steps. The cold metal felt alive against her skin as she inserted it into the lock. Every muscle in her body tensed as she turned the key. Click. The sound echoed through the room, swelling with hope. Emma pushed the door, and it creaked open with a loud groan, revealing a dark passageway. A gust of wind rushed past her, sending a chill down her spine and causing the hair on the back of her neck to stand upright. But the ambience of the unseen adventure made her heart race, drawing her in. "Is it safe?" the little girl asked, grasping her teddy bear as if it were a shield. "I think so, but let us go together," Emma reassured, motioning for everyone to follow her into the darkness. Henry stepped beside her, the faint glow from the box illuminating their path just enough to see. They moved cautiously, the sound of the storm outside continuing to roar. The passage was narrow and damp, with mold clinging to the stone walls, but the air felt different, thicker and filled with promise. Emma could hear the soft footsteps of the group behind her, their breaths mingling with the rattling of the storm. Each step deeper into the passage felt like a leap of faith. Hadn't the diary hinted at resilience? If these walls could hold secrets of survival, perhaps they could lead them to safety as well. As they moved, the passageway began to curve, twisting them further away from the chaos above. Then they stumbled upon a small chamber. It was cramped but filled with old crates covered in cobwebs. Emma scanned the room, heart pounding. Was this their salvation or another trap? "Look!" Henry exclaimed, pointing to an old trunk at the far end. "Maybe it holds something helpful." Emma's breath hitched. It could be a lifeline to their escape or hold yet another mystery. They approached the trunk together, their faces lighting up with newfound courage, each heart whispering the same question: what if this could turn everything around? Emma knelt in front of it, suddenly feeling the weight of every decision. What if it doesn't lead us to safety? What if it reveals something we're not ready to face? Henry placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Whatever's in there, we can handle it. We've already survived so much." With a nod, Emma reached for the latch, a mix of fear and anticipation coursing through her. She hesitated for just a moment, caught between the past and what lay ahead. "Together?" she whispered, looking into Henry's eyes, seeking reassurance. "Together," he affirmed. With a deep breath, Emma lifted the lid. As she opened it, what awaited them inside could either change their lives forever or unleash fears buried deep within the heart of the storm. What they found definitely wasn't just dusty artifacts. It was something that would not only challenge their understanding of themselves but also put their bravery to a test they had never anticipated. The trunk creaked open, revealing rows of treasured items, each one glowing like a beacon of potential in the dim light. Emma and Henry exchanged wide-eyed glances, awe and anticipation mingling in the air around them. Among old clothes, photographs, and trinkets, their eyes settled on a glimmering map tucked carefully in the corner. The map seemed to shimmer with a life of its own, promising untold possibilities. "What is this?" Emma breathed, pulling the map into the light. Its edges were frayed, but the ink shimmered with an almost magical allure. The outline of their town was presented, but there were markings, routes, safe spots, hints of caverns or shelters. Henry leaned closer, excitement rippling through him. "Emma, this could show us safe places. It might even lead us to higher ground." Emma felt a surge of adrenaline. Moving forward felt tangible now, the path all laid out for them. "We have to share this with everyone." She could sense the renewed electricity. But just then, a loud crash reverberated through the passageway. The storm outside had turned furious, rattling the very walls around them. Emma's stomach twisted with fear. Time was not on their side. "Quickly!" she urged, folding the map and tucking it safely in her pocket. "Let's get everyone organized and out of here." As they turned back toward the passage, Emma felt a sense of duty settle over her. It wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about her community. They needed each other, and she was determined to lead them to safety, not just for herself or Henry, but for everyone. The little girl trailed closely behind, her teddy bear clutched tightly in her arms. "Are we going to be okay?" Emma knelt down again, locking eyes with her. "Yes. We'll be okay, we just have to stick together. Remember, it's our community, our love, that'll guide us." With Henry at her side, they set the plan into motion. Emma rallied the group, reassuring everyone to stay focused while also igniting the spirit of teamwork within them. "Follow Henry and me. We have a map that can help us find safety," she called, her voice steadied by resolve. As they moved back to the entrance of the basement, a collective determination arose. The group moved as one, neighbors, friends, even former rivals brought together, united by the commitment to survive. Outside, the rain continued to pour, but each step toward safety felt lighter. Emma glanced back at Henry, who carried a confident smile despite the drenching storm. His faith in her bolstered her spirit. Suddenly, they arrived back where they started, and Emma felt fleeting panic rise when they saw water flooding through the entrance. But her instincts kicked in. "This way!" she shouted, directing them toward the passage that led them to the other side of the building. The energy of the group surged forward, hearts beating together in tempo with the storm outside. However chaotic it may feel, their bonds illuminated even the darkest of paths. As they scrambled through the narrow corridor, her heart raced with anticipation. The map held the promise of hope, but the true triumph lay within the unity they forged. Finally, they spotted the exit, a makeshift door leading to an external staircase. The wind whipped through, pushing against them, but they were undeterred. Emma led the way up, and one by one, they emerged into the pouring rain. They had made it outside, and Emma's heart soared with relief. But the moment was short-lived as the reality of the storm hit them anew. "Where to now?" Henry asked, urgency lining his features. Emma glanced at the map at the markings indicating higher ground just north of where they stood. "Over there." She pointed, locking eyes with the group. "To the old chapel. We've got to go now." They sprinted through mud and water, hearts pounding as the storm raged around them. Emma felt backed by a wave of determination as they rushed together towards safety, powered by courage and resilience. The chapel loomed closer, and Emma could see flickers of movement inside. People were already taking shelter there. As they sprinted through the door, the air shifted, warmth, as well as safety, enveloped them. Inside, faces turned toward them with expressions of relief and hope. "We've got more people here now," someone exclaimed, while others rushed to help them dry off and tend to the exhausted children. Emma felt a profound wave of joy and hope. They had forged connections through this storm, bridges built from kindness, trust, and unbreakable bonds. Together, they began to set up a network of support and share resources, forging a powerful community amid the chaos. As they worked collectively, a sense of belonging filled the air that could never be washed away, no matter how fierce the storm outside raged. Hours passed, and the light faded slowly outside, but inside, warmth blossomed. Emma stole a glance at Henry, who looked proud alongside their thriving community now banded together. "Together, we can face anything," she said, her voice solid with truth. "We have found our strength, no matter the storm." The room erupted in applause, laughter, and a reiteration of hope. In that moment, Emma knew that this wouldn't merely be a connection of shared catastrophe, it would carve out a stronger future for all of them. And as she stood there, eyes lit with purpose, Emma felt a change ripple through her own heart, a transformation shaped by the love and resilience of a community that would carry them all forward. If you're inspired by Emma's transformation and the unity forged in the storm, you need to subscribe to the channel now. This is the moment to show your support for more incredible stories. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and help us reach even more hearts with these tales of courage. Tell me in the comments how this ending made you feel. I want to hear your reactions. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, let us spread hope and connection.